Before his interview with Donald Trump a couple of days ago, conservative radio host Michael Savage shared a story from the National Enquirer, which alleges that Supreme Court Justice Antonin Scalia was murdered, possibly by a prostitute working for the government. And this none of this really makes sense to a lot of people. You'll remember that when Antonin Scalia passed, he was found with a pillow over his head. And that bit of data was used by some to suggest that he was murdered. Now, of course, we talked about it here, Lewis, and sometimes people, if you're having trouble sleeping in the morning, maybe you roll over and you put the pillow on your face or whatever. Not really evidence or proof that there was any foul play. We also talked about the lack of an autopsy at the family's request in the death of Antonin Scalia. It is sort of weird to imagine, before I play the clip, Lewis, that if you believe that there was, or in other words, if you believe that it's suspicious that the family didn't want an autopsy, and you believe that it's because Antonin Scalia was killed, you have to assume the family is in on it, and in some way they've been coerced or convinced not to get this autopsy, don't you think? I mean, it's a weird story.
As soon as you inject logic into this thing, the whole thing falls apart. Trust me, it's much more fun and interesting if you don't think about it.
Okay, well, let's not think about that and just listen to what Michael Savage had to say. I think you'll find it compelling.
I was on a group trip with 4 people, and someone brought a newspaper aboard, a publication called the National Enquirer. You say, oh, that's garbage. The National Enquirer does better investigative reporting than the New York Times and all of the American newspapers put together. The headline almost blew me out of my airplane seat. It's the front page. I've seen not one story about this in a single newspaper or on a single news show in the United States of America. It's what I was talking about when it happened. And here's the headline. Bombshell investigation. Supreme Court Justice Scalia was murdered, exclamation point. Not even a question mark. Inside, who did it, how, and their motive for murder. The secret evidence and police file. Why DNA was destroyed and there was no autopsy. Why body was found with pillow overhead. Why he was staying next to a brothel. Why his bodyguard disappeared. So you read the story, and they're not asking questions. They're not even hedging their statements. How could they not be sued for libel? If these statements are all false, then why have they not been sued? Why has the publication of this bombshell story that Scalia was murdered, how come it has not been pulled? How did they get away with publishing it? Murder by a hooker. Prostitute hired by shady CIA figure injected the jurist with poison. He knew some of the deepest secrets about the Obama administration. Oh, yes. Yes, it all leads back to that nice guy with that nice family, that thin man who secretly smokes packs of cigarettes, your friend and mine, Barack Hussein Obama.
Yeah.
National Enquirer blows wide open one of the biggest political scandals ever to rock the White House. The White House. And we will be talking about that a little bit today.
Donald Trump, when he was on with Michael Savage, also said the entire Scalia death is very, very unusual, the way his body was found. What do you think, Lewis? Prostitute hired from the brothel next door from the ranch to come in and inject Antonin Scalia with poison? What do you think?
I think it would make for a great TV show episode of whatever TV shows people watch these days.
A bunch of people emailed me and they said, David, why is the death of an overweight 79-year-old that suspicious? But then the counter to that, if you buy into the conspiracies, is, well, you're obviously going to go and kill the 79-year-old who's overweight because it wouldn't arouse suspicion. That's part of the conspiracy.
Well, they're going to have an answer for everything. And that answer is, that's exactly it. That's part of the conspiracy. Yeah. That's the answer that you give to any critical question you ask of any conspiracy, part of the conspiracy. That's the answer.
So the things we do know, right? He was found with this pillow over his face, and there was no autopsy. Suspicious to you? Or do you think that there are explanations there?
The family requested that there not be an autopsy. They are probably aware of the state of his health. I think that really tells us everything we need to know.
All right. Send me your thoughts about this. There are people on all areas of the political spectrum who to some degree have emailed me and said, there is something weird here, and I would like more investigation. So send me your thoughts on that. Talk about it with us on Reddit. We are on Reddit at davidpakman.com/Reddit. That's REDDIT. That will redirect you to our Reddit discussion forum. Talk to us about this or any other stories. Gamefly is sort of like Netflix for video games. They have over 8,000 new and classic games for Xbox One, Xbox 360, PS4, PS3, Wii, and a bunch of other platforms. And you can play as many games as you want for one monthly fee. And if you find some games you want to keep, you can buy them for a low used price. There's never any due dates or late fees, and our audience can get a free 30-day trial at gameflyoffer.com/TDPS. The games are shipped directly to you with return envelopes included. There's no contracts, and you can rent games through the mobile app. Get the free 30-day trial for the David Pakman Show audience and support our show by going to gameflyoffer.com/TDPS.